Hey guys, welcome back. Alright, so I haven't filmed anything on the ignition up until now, or at least not on the wires. So we put our coil bracket on a while back, and now I'm fabricating the spark plug wires. Now I didn't film up until this point because, I don't know, some of this is experimental. I'm not really an expert at this, so there's a little bit of, it could be good, it could be debauchery, I don't know. But trying to figure out the insides of this, I ended up using, I didn't have the stupid, these are 01, this is for like a 01 ignition coil. So like your 01 Miatas, they have like one has a wire that runs across and the other the coil pack snaps right on. This is the part that snaps right on. So down here on the head on a 99, these are raised. So I machined those down to where they're basically like really close to flush. And then I got 4 of these, and instead of snapping a coil pack on them, I forgot these didn't come with the little, there's this thing called a coil spring that goes inside of here. And normally the coil spring touches the spark plug, and then on the top it touches the coil pack. Well, I didn't have the damn coil springs. I can't even find them. So I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute, I got some old coil packs laying around for Outback. And it had a coil spring that was damn near the right length, so I was able to make it work. Then I had to clamp something to the wire to get a good connection between the coil spring and this, because I wanted a metal, like, crimped connection, so I came up with something for that. And then this is all just friction, but they're fairly stout. Like, you can pull on the wire and unplug. That's not hooked to a spark plug. I probably shouldn't do that. Like, you should probably, I don't know, maybe do it like that or something. I don't love that yet. But anyway, it looks like it's going to work. It's going to look ridiculous. These things, I don't know if the video is really picking this up. Like, these wires, these are 10.3 or 10.6 millimeter or something. They're hilarious. These are big fat spark plug wires. So you want to talk about having a big ignition system? This is going to be it. It's going to look ridiculous. Now, we haven't terminated them over here yet. There's a good reason. I want these wire links all exactly correct, and I purchased the little plastic things that guide the wires and keep them separated. You know, hilariously, a lot of the ones I saw online are made out of aluminum. That's so stupid. That's the last thing you want to be conductive. The whole point of spacing them out is so they don't arc to something. So to make that out of metal is, I don't get it. Anyway, we got plastic ones. They're actually in my mailbox. So we'll grab those, and then tomorrow we're going to click them in, get our links all figured out, mark the wires, and then do our, we'll do like a test one to make sure we know how to crimp them correctly. I've done this before, but I haven't done it in a while. And then we'll terminate these and put the boots on and click them onto the coils, and we'll have a set of spark plug wires. But I'm really looking forward to this because my last setup, I had a little bit of problems with my ignition when I was running 40 pounds. And I ended up having to go down to, I used to be able to run like 22, 24 thou of gap. I was all the way down to like 16 or 18 or something. It was ridiculous. Like I tried to run 18 or 20 and it would misfire. It was crazy. So I got rid of that old, actually hilariously, I sold it to a guy and he's running it and has great luck with it. So go figure. But I wanted to replace everything, whether it was bad or not. So new coils, new wires, and I'll show you this. Check this out. So you guys like spark plugs. This is a little spark plug note on Miatas. A common problem with Miatas is they have detonation, and I think a huge cause of that is people will just run the wrong heat range. So these are heat range 9. So this is an NGK plug. So on NGKs, the higher the number, the colder the plug. So like factory Miatas came with like a heat range of 5 or 6 depending on the year. And then a colder plug with, like, if you had a 5 you go to a 6, or if you had a 6 you go to a 7. These are 9s. I did not just pick a 9 arbitrarily. So I used to run 7s and I had detonation. And then one day I put 8s in it and it got better. But at high boost it still detonated a little bit on this plug. Like, it wasn't like you could hear it knocking, but you could, this plug won't have any on it. I'll zoom in. I'll try to zoom in. But anyway, that little part right there that will not focus, sorry. Maybe if I do this it'll focus, I don't know. But anyway, that porcelain would have little metal dots on it when I ran a heat range of 8. And I had to go all the way to a heat range of 9. I did it as an experiment. I was like, well, there's no way I need a 9, right? There's no way. But let me just try it. I put a 9 in it and boom, that was it. It quit peppering the plugs. And I was like, okay, guess I need a 9. So I started running 9s. Anyway, what you may have noticed on this plug, it's fucking cracked. Look at that. So when I said I had a misfire that I couldn't figure out, hell, maybe this was it. I don't know how long that's been cracked. But I pulled it just doing some measurements on ignition stuff and saw this sucker's got a huge crack. I don't know when that happened. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I've never dropped these. I do have a rule that if you drop a plug, it goes in a garbage can. So, don't know why that cracked. But anyway, we're going to put new plugs in it. My plan was to get the motor just running and, you know, kind of like do an oil change, that kind of stuff, and then throw fresh plugs in it. But after seeing that, don't really have a choice. So, got to order some plugs. These are resistor plugs. I think it's like the R stands for resistor. These are iridium. Anyway, I don't remember all the codes for this, but I think we're going back with resistor plugs. That seems to be common. So I got to look into it a little bit, but if nothing else, I'll just buy a replacement set of these. But I wanted to mention that because heat ranges on Miatas, that seems to be a common problem with detonation. A lot of people just don't seem to run the right plugs, and other communities have figured this out. For some reason, the Miata world, they just kind of seem stuck on running heat range 7 and calling it a day. Maybe that works on lower power builds. When you get into the high power stuff, detonation can be a real issue, and colder plugs help. So anyway, I'm about to knock off for the night, but I'm going to bring you guys back on the video, and we're going to get these spark plug wires finished. Alright guys, so another day. We are working on the car. We got our insulators came in for our spark plug wires. We just snapped those on, and I'll show you what we're doing. So we decided to run the wires basically about like, roughly like that, approximately. A couple reasons. One, the straight section coming up here, I didn't want to put a super sharp bend in it. I think it looks better without a sharp bend. Also gives us room to reach in here and actually grab these things. And then in the back, you'll see how we're trying to stay away from the cam sensor. So this is an important signal. We don't want a lot of noise here, and these are going to be noisy. So that's another reason they kind of got pushed back a little. Anyway, other than that, it's pretty obvious. I just reach over here to the coils. So we're about to go, we marked all of our coil wires, like the length is this mark and then the top is that mark. And then we're going to go crimp all of our terminals on and put the boots on, and these should be done. Check this out. We just finished building the spark plug wires. Man, it's turned out badass. I'm loving this. That's exactly what this car needed. So I used to have a setup years ago. I built a bracket to put my coils like right here on top of the valve cover. And so the wires are pretty short, but obviously that's not great. So I built a heat shield and it helped, but honestly it still got too hot. Or too hot for me. I like to keep coils cooled down, so this is perfect. Man, so we've got our coils on this bracket, which is fairly rigid, so you can pop your wires on and off, unplug them, swap coils, no problems. These are like 10 point something millimeter spark plug wires, so they look ridiculous. I mean, just look at this. Look how big these are. It's awesome. With those coil pack adapters worked out, these just plug right into the head. I really like that look. I was kind of going for like the 80s turbo era theme, where you have like castings, and anyway, there's still too much shit going on in the engine bay, but this part I like. Kind of looks good. So super happy with that. Man, that's what we were going for. We got our little isolators. Looks like we could probably add 1 or 2 more of those, but yeah, overall, she's looking nice. So one more thing checked off on the list.